Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. Today we're going to be reviewing a little bit of Lucio, but it's going to be mostly Brig game on New Queen Street. So getting into their intro, they start with a title of struggling to get back to Masters on support after switching to PC. So hi, I changed from Xbox to PC about 3 months ago, and I was Masters, Peak Masters 2 right before switching to PC. But now I cannot get past Diamond 1 to 2. Can someone please help? I honestly don't know what I did wrong. I think I played fairly okay, but I'm open to any criticism. Here are the stats if interested. I'll cover the stats at the end of the game for anybody interested in knowing that, but I've got the stats in front of, well, I've got some of the stats in front of me. They left some of it out, but we can dig into this and see what we've got here. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's get to a point where everybody's okay, good. All right, so this is our player here. It's going to be Lucio to start, but eventually they go Brig. I'm not totally sure when they do that because I have not watched the game yet. But going into the team comp as Lucio, it's not bad, actually. I think I could have seen actually picking Lucio with this team comp, so I get why you would have done it. And as far as going Brig, I'm guessing either the Sombra is targeting you with hacks, or one of the Tracer Doomfist are becoming a problem with the dive, and you do it to bodyguard the Ana. That's going to be my prediction for why you swap to Brig. So, let's dig into this a bit. But right before I do, I just want to throw out something for people that may not know this, but it's always been a saying in Overwatch that if whatever rank, say for example, you're a console player and you play Overwatch and you start on console and you put however much time into it on PlayStation, Xbox, doesn't matter. And then you swap to PC, there's usually a bigger learning gap in terms of dealing with mouse and keyboard than there is a controller. And you typically will be lower on PC than you would have been on console. So reading your intro saying that you're struggling to get back to where you were from where you were on console, I'm not surprised by that. I am actually, though, impressed you were able to get to where you're at currently now. Because Diamond 1 to 2, that's nothing to scoff at. But I would also like to add that the rank in Overwatch 2 definitely doesn't feel or correlate to how it used to be in Overwatch 1. And in terms of like what I've seen in my games, because I do have an account currently in Diamond that I've been kind of playing with a little bit to try to learn Lifeweaver and also unlock him. Because I've got several accounts and I'm trying to get him unlocked in as many accounts as I can before I got to go through the crazy grind process of the challenges. But what I've seen in those Diamond 1 to 2 games isn't what it used to be like in Overwatch 1 in terms of positioning, team compositions, expectations. It honestly feels like more of like a high-level plat game than it used to be back in Overwatch 1. So I just want to throw that out there as well. But with that said, still getting, if you've only been putting a few months into the PC version, getting to Diamond 1 to 2, that's still pretty darn good. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But, and then I also want to add another thing. Solo support, in my opinion, has been feeling pretty rough as of late. I don't know. I've had some interesting experiences doing solo support. My buddy that I usually group with, he's going through a moving process right now, so I've been pretty much left to my own devices in Overwatch these days. And it's looking like pretty much this entire season I'll be in the solo queue arena. Because a lot of my friends that I used to play with just don't play anymore. So, and I'm a little picky about who I play with anyway. But with that being said, yeah, solo support is rough. I've actually kind of started to gravitate a little bit to DPS queue a little bit on one account just because I've been kind of getting frustrated with solo support. And that's been a little bit more pleasant. But yeah, anybody who plays support and you're in the solo queue, believe me, I feel for you because I put some time in Saturday, this past Saturday, and it was a rough go of it. Anyway, enough about that. Let's dig into our VOD here and see what we got.
Good to see you.
So one thing I'm a little concerned about is I haven't really seen too many people here in your circle. It'd be nice to see you speeding everybody in together because push maps are very, and I'm sure as you know this, push maps are very momentum based. So starting strong, building good momentum at the beginning, that's usually pretty vital. So coming out with strong picks on push maps, I'm always very analytic about team compositions to start. So for example, when I see a tank just instantly going diva without having any knowledge of what the enemy team might be running, I'm critical of that pick. Just as an example, there's other heroes, but I'm gonna throw diva under the bus just as an example. Because you don't know what they're running, and there's a lot of things that can hard counter a diva and make her hard to play. Granted, there's things that she also can hard counter that would make it hard to play on the other side, but I feel like that's a hero that usually puts you at a disadvantage unless you just happen to luck into it, like really hard countering something they're running. That's again just as an example. So I'm always very critical of opening team comps. Now, I like your team comp for the most part. The only thing I'd be a little concerned about is maybe the tracer, but if it's a good tracer, it will work. But it's not always often the case.
Heel to this beat.
Another thing I'm seeing just off the cusp, and granted, we haven't actually seen your play yet, but your mouse sensitivity feels really high. I would already just want to throw out the suggestion of lowering that. If it works for you, and maybe it will, and maybe we'll see that, then leave it alone. But I'm a little concerned that this is going to be too high, and we're going to see you missing a lot of shots. Because I personally could not aim with this kind of sensitivity. That's a good finishing blow there. You're sticking by your Ana, that's good. Yeah, your aim is all over the place with Lucio. Your biggest thing on Lucio already, I can tell, there's two things that I'm seeing. One, I don't see you wall riding at all. You're very grounded. But two, your mouse sensitivity, you got to get that aim under control. And it probably is going to start with lowering the sensitivity. Find a happy medium between where you're at and getting it so that your accuracy is somewhere around, I'm going to say like 29 to 37%. You got to get it somewhere in there. Probably more into that mid to low 30s though, obviously. I'm being a little generous on that 29%. Personally, when I'm playing, I used to be a Lucio one-trick, so this is coming from somebody who Lucio one-tricked a lot in Overwatch 1. I don't play him as much in Overwatch 2. I still play him a lot though, but I don't as much. But if I'm not seeing my aim at probably around that 32% area, I start wondering what I'm doing wrong, or I kind of focus a little bit more in terms of how I'm aiming and whatnot. So my guess is your aim is a lot lower than that. Okay, good kill. You're doing good with getting finishing blows, though, I will say that. Problem is you're not doing much to get anybody low to help get to the finishing blows, but that will come with time since you are a new PC player. Try to lead your shots a little bit more. The other thing that I like to do on push maps is when I'm in a spot where I can't wall ride, I'll just wall ride off the barricade just to try to not be grounded and be moving. Obviously, I'm not doing that so much when I don't see anybody around me, but once I've got it timed in my head a bit to the point where I think the enemy is going to be responding and coming out, I'm either hiding directly behind the barrier. That's typically when there's snipers or long-range characters floating around. And if there isn't that, then I'm more along the lines of wall riding the outside of the barricade just so I'm harder to hit and moving, and I can try to maybe time my momentum for when somebody dives me, that I can either use it as a quick escape or maybe counter dive them back. Maybe be harder to hit, landing headshots from in the air, that sort of thing.
Pick it up, pick it up. This beat will heal you up. Amp up this beat.
Anna needs help. Yeah, your Anna. So, bodyguarding Anna as Brig, Zen, and Lucio will help you win games a lot, especially when the enemy team is running a dive comp similar to this. That's something you got to look out for. You were doing it a little bit in the beginning, but then your Anna got away from you there.
Let's get some healing. Hello. Oh, you want to hear this? We need to stop him from taking the lead. Match this BPM. Oh, let's break it. Damn!
Okay, so I like the idea behind this. However, I don't normally beat drop Doomfist ultimates. He went for you. At least I think he did. Did he go for you? Yeah, he went for you. However, if he is looking to go for you, just wall ride around. Like, wall riding right here would make it really hard for him to get you, kind of going around here. You could pop up here. And then if he goes for the Anna, you just speed him away. You obviously have to save your amp for that, but you save your speed amp, speed the Anna out of it, and then you don't have to necessarily worry about that too much. The thing I would be looking to beat drop, if it were me, would probably be Kiriko Ultimate. Or if you don't get hit in the EMP, you might beat drop the EMP, but that one's going to be a tricky one to plan for. I probably wouldn't plan for that, but if I happen to not be in it, or if I can really time and see it coming and I can avoid the EMP, then I would beat drop that. That would technically be the best one out of all of this to beat drop, but otherwise the Kiriko ult. It's interesting though that Doomfist chose to go for you. I'm a little surprised he wouldn't go for the Anna, but whatever. It worked out in the end, but I feel like in a slightly higher level game, that one probably doesn't work out so well in your favor.
Step right up. Get into this groove. Let's push forward.
And I don't think beat dropping Lifeweaver's tree would really be a thing either. I'm still trying to learn Lifeweaver. I'm still trying to figure out how he fits into certain team comps. That's why I haven't done any VOD reviews yet. And it's also why I kind of been dark on doing VOD reviews for a while. I've been trying to kind of figure out, well, one, I'm trying to unlock him on accounts so I can start messing around with him without having to potentially de-rank any of my main accounts, because I currently don't really have a clue on how to play him yet, but I'm still trying to also get a feel for how he plays in games. And surprisingly, I haven't had a lot of Lifeweavers in my game, so it's been a slow learning process for me. I've just unlocked him on my second account. I want to get him on a third before I really start playing him, which is probably being a little too anal on my side of things, but I don't know. It is what it is. again, not really seeing you wall riding much. You could be moving a hell of a lot faster if you started wall riding more. For example, so one, you being punched by Doomfist should almost, I don't want to say never happen, because good Doomfist can punch you while you're wall riding, but you got to make it hard for the Doomfist to punch you. So if you're getting punched by a Doomfist and you're on the ground, more likely than not, you're playing Lucio wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, there's scenarios that can be at play that could put you on the ground and then you get punched. But more often than not, that should not happen. So, like, frankly, you should be wall riding up here, around here, staying up here. You could be playing around the bus. You could be jumping back around here, but all of this square right here, and then you can always go up here, get back on this wall, come around here, pop up here. You could be circling around there. You could also pop up off of the robot, come around here, jump up to the bus, get on top, and then get back up top of here. And you can be doing all of this while still pushing the robot, because the robot is within this area that we're kind of just hovering around. And with nobody else here and you're just constantly moving, the robot will move with you when you get to here. And then once you start gravitating over to this side, you can jump up here, you can pop up here, you know, do the same thing with the bus. You can always kind of gravitate over here if you need to. Pop back around here. You can jump up to here, wall right on this, you know, and then just kind of circle back around and whatever. But if you're doing that, the Doomfist will have a hard time punching you. You're not impossible to still be punched doing that, but for him to get you at that point, he's going to have to use multiple abilities, and he's going to have to really focus on timing that punch. I've had some Doomfists do that recently to me too, and I was impressed when I saw it. So when you start getting into those level games, that's when you know you're starting to get into the really skilled upper end levels of Overwatch games. When the Doomfist launches himself in the air, times a punch, and then accurately knocks you off of a medium to high area wall ride. That's when you know, okay, now I really got to start focusing on my positioning. Because right now your positioning's pretty, I would say probably pretty mid-tier. Mid to low tier, frankly. You really got to learn to wall ride on every single map you play on if you're going to play Lucio. The more time you spend on the ground... What is this? This is terrible. What you're doing here, that was just a complete feed. I don't know why you did that. You just dove into the enemy team with nobody around you and got yourself killed. I don't know what that was. Whatever that was, whatever your mindset for that was, get it out of your head immediately and never do that again.
Breaking me down just builds me up.
Also, okay, so this is a pet peeve of mine that happens a lot on this map. If you come out of that door, go out that way. If you come out this door, go that way. When you come out of spawn for the very first time, when you're on this side, go out this door. It takes you to the robot faster. And then when you're on the other side of the map starting, you should go out this side because it'll take you to the robot faster when you're on the other side of the map on team. What team are you right now? You're team 2. So if you're on team 1 coming out of spawn, you would take this way, and on your side, you'd go that way. But when you come out of one of these doors, just come out whichever end you need to come out because you'll get out faster unless you have time to kill. I guess in this case, you kind of have time to kill because you fed. And now your team's starting to die, so now you have to wait. And honestly, from what I've seen here, I don't actually think it warrants a Brig swap. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, but if it were me, I'd probably have just stayed Lucio. But I haven't really seen the Sombra go for you. I haven't really even seen the Tracer go for you. The only thing I would really advocate for you is 1, fix your sensitivity to get it so that you're aiming a little bit better. 2, your positioning, wall riding, that kind of a thing. And 3, kind of sticking around your Anna a little bit more. Speed her around, heal her when she gets stove, that kind of thing. You can do some of that with Brig too, but let's see if you actually do that. Maybe it'll change your mindset and it'll keep you around the Anna a little bit more, because that sometimes I have an issue with. Sometimes I get into a bad habit of not being around my Anna and I start diving a little bit more, and then my Anna gets left alone and she starts dying and that kind of thing. That can happen to the best of us on Lucio players. So careful on the shield bashes. I've brought this up to other Brigs in recent VOD reviews. Don't shield bash to close distance unless the circumstance calls for it. I wouldn't say what you did there called for it. You usually want to save shield bash for, in my opinion, 2 reasons. Well, 3 now with the new ultimate. Okay, so reason number 1, and I'll go over the new ultimate reason first. You save shield bash for when you ult, and then you stun somebody with it. Number 2 would be it'd be similar to Lucio boop. When somebody's low and you finish them off with Lucio boop, kind of same thing with shield bash. And then number 3 would be using it as an escape mechanism to get out. A 4th one, this one's very situational. Say if you're going up against a Hammond, you can use it to stop his momentum, that kind of a thing. That one's more situational, but you could do it for that too, I suppose. But the primary use I would advocate using shield bash for, unless there's a Hammond around, or I guess in this case, Doomfist, if he charges up a punch and you shield bash him and you knock him down, it does leave you a little open for being hit as well, but it keeps the Doomfist down, and hopefully your team takes advantage of it and protects you while you're down, that kind of a thing. But normally what I like to see out of shield bash is using it as an escape mechanism to get out of harm's way when your shield starts getting low, and you use it to get into cover, that kind of thing. See, like right there, you could have shield bashed that Doomfist, knocked him down. There's a bunch of people around him that could have just turned on him and, you know, put in some free work on him while he's down and out. You'd have been down and out too, but there's nothing really here to punish you. Don't be afraid to throw multiple armor packs at a character that's low, especially when your Ana, who is now Kiriko, isn't around. Just throw them out, get use out of them. I'm not saying that Orisa would have been saved from it, but you might have bought more time. Maybe the Kiriko gets back by the time that time gets bought, and the full fight just changes at that point. Or maybe they get a cooldown that they didn't have at the time, and then that prolongs them, and then the Kiriko gets back and saves them from there. Something to that effect I would have liked to have seen, but the fact that your Orisa's dead, you've got 2 armor packs sitting here, now you're about to die, and those armor packs never got any value. That doesn't sit well with me. Shield the hack and they can't hack you. I do like going Brig when Sombra starts going after me, so if I'm Lucio and I'm getting hacked a lot, Brig might be one of those picks I might go to defend myself from that sort of a thing, which is something I covered when you swap to Brig. But with that being said, you got to hold your shield up so you don't get hacked. You should not ever really get hacked as Brig against a Sombra, unless she just happens to get you when somebody focus fired your shield and your shield's all the way down, which, you know, that could happen or something like that. But in a case where you have your shield and you're getting hacked, that should not happen. You should be able to fast track your shield in front of a Sombra, prevent the hack, and then at that point deal with whatever you were trying to block or swing at or what have you after the hack has been blocked. Okay, I like that shield bash. Yep. That was all pretty good. No real complaint there. Okay. I like the combo. So again, just be careful with the shield bash when you're advancing and trying to close distance, because let's say you close distance but you still are out of range to swing that mace, and let's say that Kiriko starts turning around and shooting at you but from a distance, and you can't really do anything about it other than hold your shield up and try to get away. Granted, there's a hacked health pack there, although that's not your hacked health pack, so that Kiriko could push you into here, grab that health pack, assuming her passive doesn't kick in, and then really start punishing you. And that's why I say be careful about using your shield bash in that way, because it can definitely bite you in the butt. And it kind of is right now. You know, you push that Kiriko, the Tracer peeled for the Kiriko, and now she's pushing you. Luckily, you were able to shield bash away to buy some space, but the problem is that initial shield bash that kind of overextended you has now gotten you in the crosshairs, and now you're kind of, you know, you're in a stressful situation that you probably could have just flat out avoided, but you didn't die from it, so that's also good too. I'm a little surprised that Tracer didn't kind of just keep pressuring you from a distance. If I was that Tracer, I probably would have just been tickling you and been annoying to you from a distance, because they can't really dive you too much, but they can still be very annoying to you, and I'm a little surprised they just kind of gave up on you in that way. But so, okay, in a case like that, that's another shield bash that puts you in a position to be punished. That Kiriko ultimate, that's something you want to retreat from. You don't want to shield bash into that. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to do your heal inspire because you see your tank being low. Let's watch this again here. So, okay, you teleport in. So if you get a swing off, just teleport back out, because I believe it's still there. Or did it go down? Oh, maybe, oh, it went down. Oh, well, that's unlucky. Yeah, okay, that's unlucky, because what I was going to say is teleport in, get a swing, and then teleport out. I wonder, I'm guessing, yeah, the sim must have just took it down right away. So this is something you always got to be careful about when taking a symmetric teleporter. Do your best to pay attention to where that sim teleporter drops you off at, because when it's right in the middle of a fight, that doesn't always mean take it and use it. Sometimes, because I do play a lot of Symmetra when I play DPS, sometimes what I do is I'll just drop a teleporter in the middle of a fight. Maybe I'll put a sentry or two through it, but what I'm really doing is I'm dropping the teleporter in the middle of the fight, hoping that a DPS or a tank or a support just kind of hone in on it and start shooting at it. And all of a sudden, that just becomes an object in the fight that doesn't need to die, but it draws somebody's attention, maybe somebody who's struggling to hit something, so they're like, oh, I can shoot this, or something like that, and it just gets their attention off of shooting somebody like our tank or one of the supports or whatever, and it's just a distraction device. And in this case, you took it. Now, I don't know why she just took it down right away, because that actually kind of screwed you over a little bit. Because what you could have done is taken it, swung, and then got out, and then you got your Inspire going. So now here, what you did is you backed out, you used your shield bash in a way I would advocate using it, and I liked what you did there. You got out. So now where you're at, this is where you should be staying, and as soon as you see this Kiriko ultimate, which is right here, it's retreat time. You guys should all be backing out. You don't have a shield playing with Orisa. And the heals can be a little on the low side considering you've got Kiriko Brig. And the dive has been not as divey as I was expecting to see it. So really, in my opinion, just back out, get out of the range of the Kiriko ultimate, wait that out, kind of treat it like a Baptiste window, and then just re-push back in, assuming nobody of any key importance died. Or if it was a fair trade-off, like 1-for-1 or something like that. But you guys like push into the Kiriko ultimate, which is weird because now you're playing into the ult and giving them the advantage. So okay, you get a whip shot off, which is fine, but then you start going in, and this between the Orisa fighting inside of the Kiriko ultimate and then you diving into it, these are two really poor team fight mistakes there.
Your day just got made. Oh, I'm under attack.
Behind you.
Your tank needs help. So your tank needs help. You're sitting on full armor packs. I would have used at least 2 of them, just thrown them both to the tank, and then I would have saved one for either the support or the DPS. If I see the Kiriko's like really going heal bot heavy on the Orisa, I throw one at the Orisa and then maybe one at the 76, and then I would just hold the other one for when somebody gets low. Considering what happened on your last attempt at using the Symmetra teleporter, I would be very cautious about taking any of these future ones, because now that you took that one, you're now frontlining. Do not frontline as Brig. She's not a tank. She's just a beefy support that can take a little extra damage, but she's not a tank. And if you stay in this position and your team doesn't bail you out, you will die, or you should die. Okay, or if the teleport stays there. So that part, you know, again, if you can build that level of trust with your Symmetra, then I'm fine with it. But I would have lost trust in that Symmetra after that first teleporter just instantly going down. Unless there was some kind of communication going between you and her and them, saying like, my bad, I'll leave it up in the future if you start taking it, and you guys, you know, kind of coordinate it. That aside, I've lost trust in the sim and I don't take those anymore.
I will escort the robot.
Good whip shot.
Let me take care of that for you. Here, take this. To my win.
Not met. Who needs them?
We've got the robot. Sending care your way. Shields under fire. Taking heavy fire.
So you're hanging out in the open too much here. You're allowing the Tracer to kind of pick you off from a distance, which is what I was suggesting that Tracer should have done to you. What was that, like 2 fights ago or whatever, when you kind of overextended yourself and then got their attention. What they did there is kind of what I was expecting them to do before. So that's a good example of what, you know, I was talking about. So when you're in this situation, you gotta kind of retreat and play back a bit. So if we rewind this just a little bit, and let's watch this from like more of a bird's eye view from, let's say right here. This should hopefully illustrate what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, so that all was fine. What happened there, that's all good. But you're low right now, right? And then on top of that, the robot is being pushed by your whole team. Where is your Kiriko? I don't know where your Kiriko is. I don't feel like changing this view yet. But, so what I would suggest doing is either moving over here and grabbing that health pack that's right over there, or retreating back here and then allowing either your passive to kick in, letting that Tracer dive down if she chooses to, and then landing a whip shot, or waiting for the Kiriko to come back, and then you being over here might allow the Kiriko to teleport to you and get her back a little quicker. Either of those decision-making ideas, I feel, is better than just hanging out here and slowly getting whittled to death. Because that's basically what happens here. You just get whittled to death. See? I mean, it took a while, but she got you, and that's frankly what I was surprised they didn't do before, because they probably could have did that to you then, too.
Meet your fate.
Goddess is here.
2 minutes remaining.
The enemy has claimed the robot.
I'll cover you.
I am the Junker Queen.
So right there, when I see that Doomfist, I take a free shot at the whip shot. That's just something I would do. Does it change anything in this game? Probably not, but I would just look to get that whip shot in.
Shot. Mace to the face.
100 push-ups, 100 push-ups,
I'm with you.
100.
Think you can feel smuggling? Let's spawn down. They are progressing. Let me take care of that for you.
Yeah, good. So in a case like that, where you're probably not going to get punished and you're kind of in a pursuit, that I'm okay with, but you gotta, it's situational. Like, if you know it's kind of a free kill, if you can kind of stick with them, then I'm fine with what that was. But when it gets you into trouble, that's what you gotta look out for. And that just, ultimately it just takes game sense and tracking where you think the enemy is. Like, was there a team wipe and there's only one guy left? And then you can kind of chase him and punish him, then okay, do it. Is their whole team like right around the corner, and if they make it back you're gonna die kind of a thing, then don't do it.
Pushing ahead now.
Did she actually stick you with that, or did you just stand still in that? I couldn't tell.
Your team is close to 30 seconds.
Oh, shoot. We missed it.
Your team 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, she did. Wait, is it on the shield or you? That's the other thing. Was it on the shield or you? I think that's on the shield.
2 minutes remaining. 30 seconds.
I can't really tell. If it's on the shield, you could drop the shield, and if I'm not mistaken, that pulse bomb drops to the ground, although I could be wrong on that.
Reality bends to my
Forget it. I actually kind of forget how that interaction works again. Alright, let's rewind this a bit. Let's get into the beginning of this interaction, because I think I missed something here. Okay, so we're going into overtime. We've got 20 meters, pretty much exactly, we have to make up. So yes, this needs to be contested at all costs. Alright, let's take a quick look around here. Where is your team? Yeesh. Yeah, this is a rough one. So I'm totally fine with this ultimate because it does kind of turn you into a mini tank of sorts. And you do kind of need to be that right now because they're pretty much all at the robot. Your team isn't. It's pretty much you and Kiriko. So I understand why you're ulting here, and I'm totally fine with this.
Shields under fire.
The only thing I might suggest for that is maybe trying to time it so that you maybe didn't need it immediately when you did it, but the core concept of it I'm fine with. Let's see, I'm just curious on something here. Okay, yeah, they did have EMP that whole time, so Had you have maybe tried to time that a little bit, you could have gotten EMP'd and then not used it at all potentially and gotten screwed on that. So I think the way you used it worked out in your favor.
I'm under fire. Together now.
I'm a little surprised you pushed that tracer as much as you did, just because I would have been terrified to leave that robot. I have trust issues with people leaving the objective in this game, especially in overtime. I tend to just make sure I'm glued to the objective at all costs. So I'm a little surprised you went for that tracer as deeply as you did. Only thing I could have suggested there, I would have been maybe kind of playing a little bit more by the robot and trying to use him as a source of cover. That would have been the only suggestion I could have really thrown there. Their Kiriko just popped off tremendously. I actually wouldn't mind watching this from their view for a second, because I think we just missed a absolute thing of beauty here. Let's see what they did. Headshot. Headshot.
All right.
And head. Ooh. Clean up headshots. That's a thing of beauty right there, and unfortunate for you. And then, yeah, your tank can't really stall out, and then that's it. So, yeah, the core things, honestly, were more on the Lucio than the Brig. But I'll say... your mouse sense on Lucio felt very high. 2 wall ride. And as far as 3 goes, I'll just say positioning / use of bash. Your positioning kind of got you in trouble a few times. We covered it as we saw it. And then just your use of shield bash wasn't terrible, but it could use a little bit of cleanup. I think if you work on those things out of what we saw there, I think that will help you out a lot. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.